Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now? The song says we don't care if we win, lose, or draw, but I can tell you, I most certainly do. It was painful viewing at the weekend, watching Celtic lose to Kilmarnock, and I think for anyone that tuned into it would have had the same experience, and for any Celtic fans that had to go to Kilmarnock to witness firsthand that capitulation, my sympathies go out there for. And this, performance, there's been a few telltale signs this kind of thing was round the corner against a capable opponent, somebody like a Derek McInnes team. And there was a lot of red flags that came out of this game, but in the middle of where we've got the eye of the storm at the moment of this fixture list that we've been getting talked about how many fixtures we've got in December, the end of the Champions League, which is now pointless, but this busy domestic fixture over the festive period that culminates in the derby match at the end of December. And, we're just shedding points all over the place. We've got out of jail once or twice already, but at the weekend, the get out of jail free cards had ran out. In the video today, we'll be going over exactly what happened in the match and what we're watching out for, what we're perhaps worried about, or maybe even hopeful for, depending on what we see from the players, from the team, from the performance, from the managerial decisions that we've seen in this match going forward throughout the rest of this little period. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We're pushing for 10,000 subscribers, and we cannot do that without your support, guys. So if you enjoy the content here, hit the subscribe button for more, hit the like button, and get into the comment section and let me know what your biggest takeaway was from the weekend's match. And let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, I was really happy to see Tomoki Iwata retain his place in the starting 11 alongside McGregor and O'Reilly. Very disappointed from the outset to see Phillips retain his spot here because he's never looked convincing when he's came in, and of course, if you've watched the match, you know how it's panned out for him on the day. Mikey Johnson, and Palma was kind of knowing that was probably going to be the starting front three. Mikey Johnson, you weren't too sure about, but when the manager was speaking about him in the manner that he was pre-game press conference, you kind of knew, yeah, he's going to get the start, he's going to get the chance in this fixture to maybe right some wrongs from last week. And overall, throughout the first half, it's a breath of fresh air having McGregor back in the forward line as a final third presence. Matt O'Reilly gets the goal off of the deflected, or the rebounded shot from McGregor, and obviously misses the big chance as well. Statistically, we did dominate the first half, and there was some clear opportunities where we could have put the game to bed very quickly, very early in the game, but Kilmarnock were within a sniff of a chance as well. They were pretty decent from a set piece or two, and even from open play, they knew where they were going to try and play the ball to try and expose us on their home pitch, given the circumstances, the situation, and the formation we were playing, etc. So even going in at halftime 1-0 up, it didn't really feel all that comfortable. Coming out for the game in the second half, especially the first kind of 5-10 minutes of the second half, we looked really good in transition on counter-attack to try and put the game to bed. I thought at the time we looked really good to get the second goal of the game and put it to bed, and it just wasn't quite coming off. A couple of decent saves from the goalkeeper, a few shots that didn't quite pan out, and overall, I thought throughout the beginning of the second half we started to maintain some sort of control into the match. But the key difference in this match, or where the kind of turn in the tide was, is when Kilmarnock changed their shape. Donnelly comes off for Watkins, who's much more of a forward, and then Kilmarnock have got a lot more pressure to go and try and push on in the game, and that's when we start to see a lot more dangerous attacks come from Kilmarnock, where it seems like they've got way more players in attack all of a sudden than we have in defence, and whenever those balls are getting scooped into these zones here to try and isolate defenders on 1v1s, and all across the back four, every one of them had a real handful between Vassell, Watkins, Kennedy and Armstrong in transition and counter-attack. As soon as they've made that sub, not too long after, we change out Johnson for Yang, which is just more fresh legs, and maybe he can influence this game where Mikey Johnson has been unlucky. Actually he wasn't too bad at buying a bit of space, getting into the box and trying to play a delivery. I think a lot of his balls were played quite blind, but in general, the areas the ball ended up, were dangerous enough if somebody was there. But I don't think, again, a lot of these things were aimed or that well rehearsed. It was just beat a man, get to the line, and then play it to the penalty spot, play it to the front post, play it, wherever he thought the runner would be without really knowing or without really being on the same page as everything else. So he was a wee bit unlucky. Maybe Yang could have got some more out of him. But those changes both kind of happen simultaneously. We're going to keep on the kind of front foot to try and kill the game, and they're going to try and take the initiative and try and counter-attack onto us more. Now, Taylor gets caught high up the pitch, the ball transitions over into this kind of channel here, and it's just basically doomsday from there. The ball gets played across the face of the box, and we all know what happens with Phillips coming into the OG. There's a lot of blame you can lay at the guy, Phillips, for the OG, just how bad of a effort that is to block the cross. Bad awareness just on the pitch of where he is, the kind of direction of the ball and how he's able to meet it. And, Joe Hart, I don't think he's in a great situation to deal with the cross, never mind. I know we can't telegraph the deflection and then generally where that goes, but I don't know, I just didn't really, when I see the whole thing kind of happening at the time and then back again in preparation for the video today, I'm just like, I'm like, surely the keeper could have, I don't know. And really for me, this is the moment the game was lost, because the reaction from the bench, the reaction from the manager is to take off Tomoki Iwata and put on Kyogo. It's one each. We need to go and get back into the lead and actually go and win this game. We get an extra attacker on. That means he's going to probably occupy these kind of areas, maybe float into some wide pockets, but we're going to have to ask McGregor and O'Reilly to kind of come back 10 to 15 yards on the pitch and cover the 4-4-2 midfield that they're now faced up against. That's now their job, their responsibility to go both ends of the pitch, so we can have Kyogo to be free to run into channels, help out in the wide areas, support play knockoffs for O, whatever it is he's been brought on to do. It's fine. I can get behind that. All kind of works on the face of it. But when we take Iwata out of the picture here, we're leaving 2 strikers on our 2 men here. And in the whole 4-4-2 situation, we are leaving Kilmarnock on a man-for-man basis. Every time we lose the ball, they're going to keep playing it into those channels they've just caused us problems with. And for me, vacating this whole zone here, because O'Reilly is still getting forward trying to help us win the match. McGregor is still carrying the ball and playing out in wide areas. And having no one to protect that back 4, to have no one that's in there to shield, see the pockets, read that, Taylor has been caught really high and wide here, and I can see this Armstrong's peeling into some space. Maybe I'll move over to that side of the pitch just to cover the centre-backs and give them that bit of protection, to let the attackers go on and continue to attack like we want them to. But if we do lose the ball, we've got enough people in the right places to put out any fires if we need to. And I do feel that by really taking Iwata off at 1 each, really vacating this, not giving us that shield in front of the back 4, that for me was just, I feared the worst. Now, statistically, as the game goes on, Kilmarnock are actually dominating us. They're creating way more chances, they're getting way more shots at goal, and they're looking way more likely of a team to actually create something that will amount in a goal that could win the game, that could win the 3 points at the end of it. Over the complete second half, Kilmarnock made 10 goal attempts, Celtic only 5, which for Kilmarnock resulted in 4 shots on target, 2 off target, and for Celtic resulted in 2 shots on and 2 shots off. So this was just going end to end constantly, exactly the way Kilmarnock wanted to play the game. The manager said so post-match. I think we've all seen the same match. I'm not really telling anyone something they don't know already. But what kind of helps to fly into the face of this being, number one, a really bad situation to be in at 1 each, is when you look at the bench, we have Bernabe, Naroki, and Ralston. 3 guys that could really change the defence to cope with what Kilmarnock are trying to give us here at 1 each, and trying to keep O and Kyogo nice and high, try and give Palma some space so they can deliver a ball from out wide. Whatever we're going to try and do in the final third with like 7 or 8 players from the outfield. What do we need defensively to make sure we can cope with Vassell and Watkins bombing on in the counter-attack, from Kennedy becoming an inside forward and causing that overload? Because honestly, all this space that we're seeing on the pitch, who does it isolate? Phillips, more and more as the game goes on. Not having Iwata in that shield, by having McGregor and O'Reilly having to be, the shield, and then go and try and get us to win the game, because Palma's not going to dribble and beat somebody. O's a target man. Kyogo done nothing, really, to be quite honest with you. And Yang still can't really kill a man yet. He's still kind of threatening to break through without really doing it. So McGregor and O'Reilly are in no man's land constantly. And as soon as something breaks down, they just know what to do. And they're just going to play it into those zones, and they're going to isolate players, double up on them, and just make sure they see the ball home, kill the clock the way they did, etc. But Ralston came on last week and played left back. For me, this was Taylor's worst game I've ever seen him play. And I think Ralston versus Armstrong for the second half would have been, we've seen Ralston play left back last week. I'm not seeing anything too wild here. If you don't fancy Bernabe, why is he on the bench? Whether in attack for Palma or in defence for Taylor, I don't know why Bernabe doesn't get a look in this game. And I don't understand why Taylor was left out there for 90 minutes to drown, because he was drowning in this game. A lot of the attention is on Phillips, and rightly so. He was shocking in this game, to be quite honest with you. But Taylor was drowning out there, and we didn't really give him any help or any support. Now, I think the manager's trying to do the right thing in this game when we've been 1-0 up. Try and see the game over the line, try and get that decisive goal, because Kilmarnock were dangerous. You couldn't sit defensively. It just wouldn't be us, number one. And number two, Kilmarnock had teeth in this game, evidently, from ultimately the result. I do think getting Kyogo on is the move to make, but there's two things that I don't understand the reluctance of here from Brendan Rodgers. Number one is to play Kyogo as a wide forward alongside O and Palma, because we're not really looking for anything, like we want crosses, we want delivery, we want that from Palma. If Palma's going to be playing those balls in, we want the box loaded up with as many finishers as possible. O'Reilly's doing a great job this season. O and Kyogo, we've both seen in their time at the club, are capable finishers from a number of different positions and can link up well with players when they're in good form. And McGregor is showing still that he's a very capable operator in the final third. He can play a killer pass, he knows the right ball to play, and he doesn't mind taking a shot if the moment requires it as well. So I do feel that this kind of maybe try and get Kyogo on in a front three is something that could have been looked at in this game as well. Or, failing the fact that we wanted to put an extra man up top to support O, again, I don't understand why Iwata has to come off when potentially something like Taylor could have come off if you really wanted to go a wee bit at one each. Maybe tuck this into a back three, protect Phillips a little bit more if you're going to keep him out there. Because again, Nawrocki is on the bench. So if Nawrocki's on the bench and he's fit and he can make the matchday squad, then maybe why doesn't he get a look in this situation also? How can he not get a game ahead of Phillips at this point? Is it because he won't be able to play against Feyenoord? That's maybe something I could understand. But when it goes to one each and we need to change the game to go on and try and win, Phillips is also drowning. So taking off Phillips for Nawrocki, taking Taylor off for Iwata, even leaving Iwata on, playing him centre-back, take Phillips off or do something like that. But I think we need to keep this protection in here because it's obvious every time Kilmarnock are going to get the ball, they're going to look to try and play it into pockets for guys like Armstrong and Kennedy to get on. And if you've got somebody like Iwata that can just see the side of the pitch the game is on and try and cover in, I think that might have been a better use of the defensive players we had, which would have maybe gave us a better route to go in attack itself. Who knows? It's just something, there's a three at the back situation that fixes a lot of our problems in a lot of these matches for me, that includes getting Kyogo and O up front. That now that we have Iwata, McGregor and O'Reilly in midfield, I think the manager really has to be exercising. As you can see, this then leaves Palma as still the kind of anchor that he is. In this match, I've seen him coming inside quite a lot and trying to play in this central kind of role here. So maybe there's some development happening with him tactically on the pitch that might allow somebody like Kyogo to maybe interchange with him, maybe take out wide positions, play 1-2s, give and goes, run into channels, that kind of thing. And in this side here, without Abada, without Maeda, we've just got passengers as the extra man really in this situation. Yang isn't ready. Mikey Johnson is top-end SPFL winger the way he's playing at the moment, similar to, Peak Turnbull, just being a top-end SPFL midfielder with a lot of potential. That's got, Turnbull especially as, Johnson, they do have something unique about them, something special. Johnson's quite good at dribbling. Turnbull's got a good eye for a shot, good eye for a pass on occasion, that kind of thing. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, lots of question marks, and, it could have been Ralston out here. I don't think the manager subbed out anyone in the game that was doing particularly good and he should have stayed on. But I do feel that leaving Taylor on for as long as he did, leaving Phillips on for as long as he did, seeing the situation, given the sort of players that were on the bench and the sort of options we could have made, I don't know why. I just don't, there's something we don't know. There's something that we don't see, obviously not being at training every day and all the rest of it, but I do feel that there are some solutions here that feel quite obvious from the outside. And we've said it before with Tomoki Iwata. Seeing that vindicated now on the pitch makes me feel a wee bit more confident that some of these things might be, doable the way we kind of thought they might have been on the channel with Iwata and one or two other players perhaps. So I'd be really interested to see what you guys think about some of the opportunities not taken in this game with the squad players and with how we're actually addressing the match as it's unfolding, because this type of situation, like I said in the intro, the writing's been on the wall for this kind of situation to unfold in a few occasions. We've had get out of jail free cards, we've had good results, we've had good goals, good teamwork that's got the result in the end and maybe masked over some of the deficiencies that Kilmarnock really did exploit on the day. So yeah, be really interested to see what your thoughts are on the game. This is my point of view, of course. Don't forget to subscribe, share and retweet and all that good stuff, guys. On screen now is some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, somehow. And hail, hail.